I'm Angie Schmucker, back to do more with board roles and responsibilities at nonprofits. I want to talk a little bit about duty of loyalty. Duty of loyalty seems pretty simple, and it is basically saying that you are going to put the organization for which you serve and their employees and the people they serve, their constituents, before yourself, your personal interests, your business interests, any other nonprofits that you serve on. While you are there in that role, you're going to put them first. That seems really easy. Let's talk about like the easiest thing. At least I think it's the easiest thing. You're going to keep the information that you know about this organization confidential. So one way to make that easy, and sometimes boards forget to do this, is to have a confidentiality policy. As a board member, you should sign this every year. You sign this when you come in. You should sign it every year. It just reminds you of all the things that you need to do, all the things you need to keep confidential. You should not immediately go home and share with your family, with your household, all the juicy information that you just found out. You shouldn't go share with volunteers that you know what the bonuses are, or maybe that there's about to be a loss with the organization. Any of the things that haven't been released to the public. It is the organization's job, not yours as an individual, to share information with the public. And there is information, employee information, people's reviews, things about things being considered, vendors being considered, contracts being considered, things like that, that you are a member of a board and you should not be able to, and you're not, to share it with others. So you just need to keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other things. Another policy that the board should have, and I often see that they don't have this. And when it comes to these policies, if you do not have a policy like this, reach out to us, click below. You can find information to reach out to us, and you need a conflict of interest policy. And you should sign one of these every year. Sign it when you can come in. And then all board members should sign this every year. It has two parts. One is the part that basically says what the policy is. What is your policy on conflicts of interest? And the second is a declaration form. You should be declaring whether you have any conflicts of interest that you know about up front. The reason you fill this out every year is maybe at the beginning of your term, and let's say you have 3-year terms and you're serving 2 of them. So by year 5, a lot of things could have changed in your life. So the reason you fill this out every year is that things that have changed, there may be new conflicts of interest. You might have a spouse or an adult child who has changed jobs, and there's now a conflict of interest. They might now work for the city. They might now work for a vendor. They might now work somewhere where there's a conflict of interest. Your organization may be being considered for a contract. There are all sorts of things where your business might be considered. You might be, your business might be a landlord. So you have to bring these things up. The board can decide whether you can still be a board member, the board as a whole. But at a minimum, you need to declare these. You need to remove yourself from any votes, and oftentimes conversation about it. Now, I'll give you an example. I spent much of my corporate career in marketing, and so I have a lot of information and expertise to share on marketing and in fundraising. I can share a lot of information on fundraising and in staffing. I was at a staffing company for a long time. I am really helpful in HR and how reviews should be done, job descriptions should be written, all sorts of things like that. If we move into a conversation about hiring a staffing firm, I need to remove myself. I know a particular staffing firm, and even though I haven't worked there for a long time, my spouse does. I have a conflict of interest. Now that's one that I'm probably not going to declare up front because my nonprofit isn't using a staffing firm. But if for some reason all of a sudden we started talking about a staffing firm, I need to remove myself because my husband works at a staffing firm. So those are things where you just need to go, whoa, all of a sudden I have a conflict of interest. I need to remove myself from this conversation. I need to remove myself from votes. It is that simple. You need to look in the mirror throughout conversations as soon as things like that come up. It is really awkward if your peers on the board have to point out a conflict of interest that you have. So please do a favor to everyone there and offer up those conflict of interests yourself. If an employee in the room knows those conflict of interests, you've put the employees, the CEO, and others in really awkward spots by not pointing out the conflict of interest. And if they have to point it out and you are unwilling to point it out, it just becomes even more and more awkward. The governance chair or the governance committee, the executive committee, the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, all those people could call you out on this. So just do everybody a favor and point it out. Any board member could, but those people particularly could point it out. So that's a duty of loyalty, to point out your own conflicts of interest and to always put this organization and the people they serve, the community they serve, the cause they serve before your own goals, purpose, and passions. Those people come first. So that's why it's really important that you align with the passion and the mission of the organization. Okay, so we mentioned confidentiality policy, conflict of interest policy. If you don't have those, reach out to us. Be sure to follow us, follow our channel, subscribe to our channel. Check us out online on social media at Schmucker Advising, and check out our other videos on the topic of roles and responsibilities of board members. Thanks. Bye-bye.